Okay, so this is how you draw a thing. So there's a series of there's different types of lines that you can use. There's straight, and then there's curved. But all of these, well, these variations are parallel or somewhat parallel. And then this is just hatching, right? Then you have cross hatching. Your hatching can go from different sizes to just little ticks, dots, to fully, or squiggles. The whole point is to describe curvature. So if I was to draw this cone, right? It just looks like a triangle until we either add perspective or value. So I'm gonna add a little bit of perspective here, but then I'm gonna add some value. Cones tend to have weird reflective qualities where the core shadow is in different places depending on what it's made of. The highlights are very thin, and I'm gonna have a shadow. It's very beneficial to put lines that represent a different plane in a different direction. So if I wanted to draw a box, I could draw front plane, upward. Okay, well, this doesn't apply all the time. I think what I'm trying to say is you want to use those for more curved, more subtle surfaces. But something like a box, the top plane would be a different direction. But the two side planes might be in the same direction. But here's a trick though. One of the sides is going to have a darker value because of the light reflection, or just the direction it's facing, where the light can hit it. So let's say the light's facing from here, right? It's coming from here. So that means this side is going to be darker. So you can just add a larger volume of hatching, right, to increase the value, or decrease the value rather, to make it look darker. And your shadow, because it's on this plane here, let's just do that. Because it's on this plane, could be following a different direction. It doesn't necessarily have to follow a specific direction, but just give it a different direction so that it conveys the idea of three-dimensional planes, right? Obviously, these are really rough examples, but it can get really specific depending on what you want to do. So like, for instance, I drew a picture of some deers, like animals, right? Nothing too fancy, but there's some sketches, and I'm really proud of them. I did this one in pen right before I started this video, and yeah, you can see the variation of hatching. Some right here, I just have hatching. Right here, I have cross hatching, because I want to represent or convey the roundness of its abdomen. And here, I want to represent kind of the flatness of its shoulder blades, right? Or the flatness of its pelvic bone. And I don't really too much know deer anatomy, but if it's anything like human anatomy, things tend to get pretty flat in this region until muscle further defines rounder aspects of the form. But normally you'll see more cross-hatching to define rounder parts, and hatching to define more subtle flat planes changing orientation. Like here, I don't know what this is. It looked like some type of hollow, let's say, an elbow pad or something. I don't know what it is, but it's essentially a cylinder, right? With a groove in the middle. And what I wanted to do was convey the idea of subtle plane changes, right? So if I did that, if I'm representing this, right, or recreating this, and I want to convey the plane change, I would use, you don't necessarily have to use only hatching for this, but hatching seems, for me, in my opinion, as far as I've studied and experimented, hatching seems to be the best for conveying more flat plane changes. So it's like, and as you get better at drawing things in perspective, learning how to convey three-dimensionality, that's off, but it made a pretty weird looking shape. So if the light is coming from this direction, right, the shadows will be in places the light can't hit, like this. Or if it's coming from the bottom or the side, the light wouldn't be hitting up here. It's kind of oriented weirdly because I'm looking through the camera to draw, and it's kind of messing with my head. But if you wanted to make sure that you can get a wider variety of values, right, this plane is actually facing directly toward the light source. So these planes, even though this one is flat, right, this one is darkest because it's facing away from it. So would the top be darkest because it's also facing away from it. This one is kind of perpendicular to it, right? So the light source is coming here, coming this direction, but the plane is this direction. which means the light kind of just grazes right past it. So if you want, I guess you could add some value to this one. And then add your little cast shadow here, right? I don't really know how to calculate cast shadows. I know there is a way to do it. I've seen someone do it before. I just forgot. And honestly, just for sketches, it's not really that important. But if I were to be doing something more serious or something I want to get right, you know, then I'd, you know, definitely look up how to do it, or watch someone else do it, or put some objects down and observe how it looks with the lamp on it. I don't even know what I'm drawing anymore. But, oh, another tip for adding value, right? To make things look like it's in a space, just add a simple contrasting value in the background, right? If there's a background, it'll always look like it's in 3D space. And I know I'm using a black pen, so as you get darker, you lose the variety and value. Your range gets more compact and less versatile. But let's say you have a ball, right? And you have a shadow on the ground beneath the ball. If you have shadow around the ball, right? Because there's a light source most of the time. If you put a darker background that's darker than the subject, it makes it look like it's in a space. Especially if you add a little bit of difference in planes in the background too. Right, so now it looks like it could be a table that the ball is sitting on, or it could be an apple. On top of a table in a room that's darker relative to the subject, right? I feel like Alfonso Dunn. Nah, he's cool. If you follow his channel, I'm sure you probably like this one too. But I think I want to make this one kind of a ASMR thing. I don't know. Y'all probably like, what, ASMR? This man, what? This man is a ASMR? No way, bro. But I just like making, I mean, I don't really make too many videos, and that's what I'm getting ready to start doing. But I like sitting really quiet. I like drawing at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, because that's when it's most quietest, dead silent, right? You know, you can concentrate, nothing but your thoughts. Probably play a little bit of music or something, I don't know, listen to a podcast or some affirmations, things of that nature. But yeah, if this was helpful to anybody, I would be very happy to know that it helps someone else out. Because I know I have had a lot of issues areas where I just plateaued in skill in practicing how to draw things, because I knew there was a way to learn it, but I didn't know what people were doing. I didn't know how people was doing it. What decisions were they making? Why were they making those decisions in their art to make it look the way it did, right? But the more you kind of like look at and experiment with different techniques, you know, you begin to see why people make the decisions that they do and how it works. And, you know, don't be afraid to copy sometimes. Do master studies. Because if you can copy a master's art, right, and see what they did right, and it looks anything similar, then you know that you're capable of making something just as good. And for me, I'm very competitive, even in just doing something that's fun. I don't know. Whenever I play video games, if there's a video game I like or I enjoy, like Modern Warfare, Apex, whatever, I just start playing it all day just so I can become like the best player for some, I don't know. But it's cool to know or to see proof or evidence that you can make something just as good as the people you admire, you know. Once you break it down, they don't look or seem so much like gods anymore. They become normal people, and you feel accomplished sometimes, you know. You feel like you can do it, and you can add that to you can put that in a tuck, you know. You can just stuff that into your back pocket and use it for later whenever you want, because once you get it, you can never lose it. I mean, you can forget it, but you know, the skill is always there. Once you get a warm-up in, and that's another thing, always try to get a warm-up, you know? Do little crappy things like this, like what I did here. These are just little studies. I don't even look at this stuff sometimes, you know? So when you first start drawing, you know, it's okay to do a little warm-up, get yourself ready, because not everything is going to be a masterpiece, you know? But yeah, hope this was a nice little informational video, and I think I'll make another one sometime soon.